Like something like this. I don't want her involved in this.
It made contact and shattered.
At some point, Chris locates what's called a dry bag.
Brian Laundrie's body has been found. Law enforcement had considered Laundrie the only person of interest in the murder of his fiancée, Gabby Petito.
That's all it is the truth. So there's nothing to hide in that coroner's report. There's nothing to hide by not having Callie take a polygraph. And if the truth comes out, and this was
reference to a missing 4-year-old, the parents have called me and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
Hello?
It's gone.
Hi, thanks for being here, everybody, and welcome to another ATS News live stream and live chat. We have a special guest tonight, C.D.T. So let me say hello to some people in chat, and hello, thank you for being here, C.D.T.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to discussing this case with you in person and with the chat. So thanks for.
Yes, and we have already I'm seeing some good names in chat. Florida's here, Bonita Barbie's here, Mia More, Ambi, Valerie, Delana. Thank you guys for being here, and everyone else who is joining. Hi, Rebecca, all the way from the UK. Thanks for stopping in. And anyone watching this on replay, thank you so much as well. And if anyone can hit the thumbs up if you haven't, now would be a good time. And also, I will be linking C.D.T's channel in my description box, and subscribe there as well. We are going to get right into this because I have no joke. I didn't want to tell you how many pages of notes, but there's more than 5. But I've been following this for the past 2 weeks. I've watched your live streams on this as well so far to kind of help me solidify what I think is sort of the facts in the case. I know that there's been a lot of already speculation and just rumors, I guess, and drama. I hate to say it, but it's already occurring.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let me just play before we start sharing our thoughts and our notes. Let me play the public service announcement that I put together for Dylan in this case, and we'll bring his flyer up. So give me one moment. DylanRounds was last seen at the Saddle Sore Bar in Montello, Nevada on May 26, 2022. On May 28th, he spoke with his grandmother over the phone, but that was the last time anybody had heard from him. By May 30th, Dylan was reported missing, and it was on that day that they discovered his Ford truck and his boots were on the property. He is 19 years old, around 5'11", and he weighs roughly 160 pounds. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of DylanRounds, you are urged to call 435-734-3800. All right, so he has brown hair, brown eyes. That is his identity right there. Very precise and everything on this EquiSearch one, which everyone I'm sure is aware that EquiSearch is now there. And in the most recent media interview, the parents said that they were going to be flying drones this weekend with EquiSearch, and that they were waiting for the go-ahead from the police department to make sure that everything's good to go for air flying those and I guess another search. So that's the gist of it. I'm already seeing people say that this case is so baffling. What do you, so far, I guess, let me ask you your thoughts on everything so far.
Well, I mean, from everything I heard, first of all, I'm glad that his mom, Candace, is so vocal and that she has shared so much information. And like his dad and her were saying, they feel like, you know, her going to the media is what got the FBI involved, what got them to really start helping them. But yeah, I definitely have my theories on it. I have kind of who I think is involved in it just from what the PI has said. And again, I don't take everything he says as fact or, 100%, but just from what he has said, what mom has said. I mean, I definitely think foul play was involved. I don't think it was a case of him wandering off, self-harming, or an accident that happened to him on his own. I think there are other people involved who know exactly what happened to Dylan and where he is.
Yeah, and I agree about and even the things that the parents have said, we have to assume that they haven't been told everything by law enforcement either. So everything is kind of the same boat as far as, it's hearsay until we know for sure, which reminds me that, it even comes down to just the rumors that are being spread about, the phone ping, like his phone ping. Well, everyone's already certain that it came from the farm directly, but in all actuality, it's like a 15-mile radius. So he could have been at the farm, or maybe he wasn't. We don't really know all the details yet. We don't even know whose blood is found on the boots. So I guess I'm just going to go back and look at some of my notes, but pretty much it's just evolved really quickly. So some of these notes, I almost feel like I should do the most recent and go backwards. But, the last credit card usage, which this is fact, the last usage of, his credit card was on the 26th of, on Thursday, right? Thursday night at the Saddle Store. And
yes,
I mean, we're already going to get into some speculation, but I have doubts on where exactly something nefarious happened. Them saying that the his camper trailer didn't look touched at all, and it looked like nobody had been in there in a while. And we hear about how he stayed with Kurt and in Montello in general, and it's just not. That's not his normal. Like, that's not where he's supposed to be calling home, pretty much. So the fact that he's making like a base somewhere else, obviously those people who are at that other area need to be questioned and kind of put on the spot. And come to find out that whole fake story of him being held hostage somewhere, I mean, that is, I feel like, being brushed over by all this drama happening. Like, everyone's worried about who's saying what and why the mom hasn't cried. And it's like, do you guys, I think we need to look more into like this fake hostage situation that took place. The parents are getting calls that their son is being held hostage in a shed by Kurt. And then it's like a red herring type situation that's like taken back, which was another thing that the parents said in the interview yesterday that stuck out to me. Was the mother, I believe, said that about his Friday whereabouts, it's sort of up in the air. And the father reiterated that it's everything that they have based on him on Friday is hearsay. And then she said stories have changed. So not only, it's just, I'm just wondering, from Thursday night, his credit card, Friday, it's all hearsay about where he is, who has seen him. And then come Saturday morning comes around very early in the morning, almost at 7, 6:51 in the morning. Allegedly, Dylan calls his grandmother. But then in the same breath, they're also saying that phone call seemed rushed because he had to get the seeds planted. The rain was coming. And it just makes me wonder, like, again, speculation, but was he in a bad situation that occurred or started on Thursday night when he's using the credit card and he's in this area with these nefarious characters and everyone knows their background, I'm sure, at this point. What's that channel he was on with it starts with an M? But they just did like this really detailed deep dive into Kurt's family members and just really, I mean, it's just bad. It's just really bad criminal records and people. So I'm just thinking he's being active with the credit card here. And then, Saturday morning comes around, like, was he told to make that phone call? Like, I can't help but start like theorizing, like, when did this nefarious activity or plan take place? Because I'm really Monkey Mar, thank you. I'm really thinking that the PI is right about a few things, and his gut instinct of Dylan being a target, especially when it comes to cash that he may have had on him, um, and him being so young and impressionable and whatever else. I just feel like ultimately he was put in a surrounded by, people who wanted something from him. And if it's true that he's speaking about this 50 grand that his grandfather, helped get for him, or this cash flow that he has, and these people are just bad people. I mean, that, and the fact that his handgun is missing, not the shotgun. Okay. Not anybody, but it's much easier. Hi, Marshall Dove. Thanks for being here. And hi, John. I saw you come in. It's much easier for somebody to get a shotgun than it is for somebody to get a handgun. So I'm just thinking the fact that that's missing too, it's just made Dylan very much a target, just on the money level that he possibly would have had, and his handgun. I just feel like, they ultimately, it comes down to, I think, Kurt, which is what the PI was saying. But again, I guess they're saying that Chase is back on the table. They could all be connected.
Exactly. And I just feel like the Chase aspect, like, I don't necessarily think Chase is prime suspect, like, did something to or with Dylan, but do I think Chase could know more, or I'd like to know, Chase's connection to Kurt, especially, and just the Wadsworths in general. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, we really don't know about, was the phone call on Saturday morning at 6:51 a.m. Did Grandma call Dylan, or did Dylan call Grandma? He did say on Sleuth Mom that he called Grandma, but then other times it's just like he spoke to Grandma. It's not clear, but she definitely said on Sleuth Mom that he called his grandma, said, I have to go get the grain truck in the shed. And Amber and I, kind of speculated, like, why would you make a phone call to somebody and she even said he was panicked, like, have on your mind that you have to go out in the elements and move a very important object. So I don't know. I just feel like that whole 6:51 a.m. phone call, I'd like it clarified and like put to bed who called who, how exactly he sounded on the phone. Because it's almost like you're saying, if something nefarious happened before that Saturday, again, theorizing speculation, if Dylan calls Grandma, why throwing a lifeline out and saying, I'll call you back, when he knew he was in I don't know. This is just theory, but I think that phone call, that last phone call where they say, yes, indeed, it was Dylan, but it's like, what did he sound like exactly? I know I've written, Mom said he sounded panicked about the seed truck. Understandable. But yeah, who really called who? She said that he called Grandma, and to me, that's odd.
Yeah, like, you're writing panicked, and I think in my notes, and I've watched this on Duty Run, and he did a great job, and I watched this on Zav Girl, she did a great job. I mean, it's just been like a lot of information, and I'm trying my best to write it down like as I'm hearing it. And I really did hear, like, the mother, I think, say something like, use the word rushed, like he had to rush, or there was some sort of like, and yes, and here's the thing about, like, sometimes parents, or people have speculated, I'm just going to say that people have speculated that this mother is in denial or seeing things with rose colored glasses on, and that's understandable. So what I'm saying is, as she's chalking the phone call up to, he was in a hurry because he had to get this grain seeds in before the rain, is that really it? Or is that just how you're perceiving it? Because you're thinking that he was okay because you heard from him. Just because you heard from him that morning doesn't necessarily mean he was in a good situation, if we're going to believe what the PI is saying about these characters, and they would hold them captive and this and that. Like, it's very possible that these same people are holding him and saying, reach out to your family, tell, or, let them, they'll be aware that you're okay. And then in reality, it's buying them, the criminals, more time because the parent isn't really tipped off that there's anything wrong. You know what I mean? This is obviously just theory. This hasn't been proven. But I just think that if instead of hearing from the mother and from the PI and newscasters, even myself in this PSA saying he last spoke with his grandmother at 6:51, I wish that we could just get the grandmother's statement and say, I want to hear right from her. Like, please take a breath, take a minute. Close your eyes. What was, that call like? What do you think he was panicked or in a rush with seeds? And if she says too that, well, it was going to rain, so he had to get the grain seeds there, then also that's just her perception, like he might have been rushed because of that. But what if he was feeling rushed or something because of something else going on? The fact that the seeds were still in the truck is another thing that's making me look at this timeline of when something happened. And as far as I know, and I think everyone else knows, that all the seeds were still in the back of the truck. So when did this occur?
Right.
How far in his job did he get that day? If this was happening at 6:51, the phone call, I got to rush, I got to get out there, it's going to rain, but yet all the seeds are still there. So then who's with him that early or was he even really there? That 15-mile radius until they get more exact, like tower stuff. I just don't know. And again, it's like the Summer Wells case in the aspect that nobody has cell service. Actually, didn't in that one interview yesterday, the East Idaho one, the father said he spoke with him on Thursday. Yes. Spoke with him on Thursday, and exact quote from the father: service was bad. So they lost connection, I'm assuming, or some sort of like, I can't really hear you type of thing. His dad's exact words was Thursday when they said service was bad. And I'm just thinking, great, like you can't even have open line out here, like if you needed to at certain times. So it's just like, I wonder if they've ran into problems with metadata.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. And see, I understood the 6:51 a.m. call. I've never p.m. or I don't remember exactly. It was around 3 p.m. was where the 15.4 came from. But I've never heard if the 6:51 a.m. ping where they were able to ping that. If that was within a mile radius too.
You're right. Because
that one, I just haven't heard it.
Got you. Yes. Now I'm remembering. So the 6:51
and then Ashley
necessarily isn't tied to, or the 6:51 call hasn't necessarily been tied to that ping in the area. That was the 3:31.
With the 15.4 mile to 3:30. The 6:51, they said he did ping in Lucin, like he was on his farm, but they never gave a mile radius for that one.
Okay.
But I heard the same that Ashley Oaks is saying. So the seed was in the truck, okay, and it did make it to the shed. But yeah, I heard the same. Like Mom said that he had already done and that he wasn't necessarily like planning to plant that. He just wanted to keep it safe from the elements. But it wasn't like he was needing to plant it. He just didn't want it to mold and sprout. But she said like it wasn't odd that all the seed was still in there. Yeah, so I heard the same, Ashley.
We need to get some clarification on like if she's going to be on YouTube and stuff, if Duty Ron or whoever, like these little details, I'm sure as we get deeper and deeper into this, I know that they'll be pulling out as much of these little tidbits as possible. I think right now, even though it's already been a month, I feel like it's just been so much going on and so many characters that people are just kind of like trying to understand like the grasp of it. Because there's just like a lot of stuff going on. Like, Kurt.
And I really do like Candace. I really like her and how she is sharing all this. But even she said it herself that like Dylan will tell a story and then they get off the phone and she's like, what did he just say? And then she's like, I think he gets that from me. And I feel like Candace kind of is the same way. Like you really kind of just have to listen to catch it all. Because it's been, I mean, she's done a lot of interviews and I'm thankful for that, but it is a lot to process.
It is, and I've had to listen to
the way I understand
more than once.
Yes. And then I'm second guessing my own notes sometimes.
I know. But Pointer Lover said Dylan was telling people in the bar all about the cash he had. Bad idea. Which sort of, it's like, I don't want to blame anybody, but you know, he's a kid in the grand scheme of, you know, if this is his third year out there, I mean, he started all this when he's a kid. He's very impressionable. That's why I feel like it is possible that, you know, he got wrapped up, like even in the people that they're saying, and this is just a speculation from the PI, that he was in like a vigilante group. So even if he thought, you know, well, I'm doing good, I'm the good group out there, you know, because even his mom said he was in the East Idaho interview yesterday. She says something along the lines of him feeling like he belonged out there in a way because he was kind of his own like outcast in a way. Like he knew he was like different. And I was just thinking that's exactly why I think he gets into this group of vigilantes. And it obviously, you know, it's just those type of people, they hear about money, if that's true and all, you know, it's just not good.
And yeah, I mean, if you think about her owning that bar and, you know, bar, restaurant, whatever you want to call it, like if this is his third summer out there, and like she said, there's nothing in a hot meal, you would go into Montello, and that's where the Saddle Sore bar comes in. Allegedly owns this bar. Third summer where I would think that Dylan has been around these people. So kind of like who needs enemies when you have friends like the Wadsworth brothers, possibly. You know, they're comfortable around them. He stayed out there where Kurt was living. I've heard different kind of things about that as well.
Yeah.
He's 19 years old. That's very a man, you know, it's very young.
Right. And a lot of mischief.
And I agree, Mara.
I mean, I feel like he might have been trying to find himself, but was surrounded by people that you don't need to, you know, associate with, but it was just the way it was out there. But I don't know, it's just not a good situation. And but Troy is in custody, right? They're able to hold on to him. Or no?
I'm not positive about that. Chase is.
Okay, yes.
Chase Vinstra is in custody. I'm not sure about Troy.
Yeah, I mean, Marar, I agree, because even on Duty Run or one of the interviews, she sort of admits that, like, you're only about the picking Chase up. She says, like, you're only going to tell your mom half of what's going on. And that's just so true. And the reason why I instantly thought like he got in a bad group was just because I am so close to my brother that like what he was doing at 19 and 16 and these years that Dylan's out there, like, you know, it's just, they're so impressionable. They're growing into themselves, you know, and he's been given this responsibility of this farm and stuff that he is like he's a man, he's a young man, but in the real scheme of things, his, you know, frontal cortex isn't even fully developed, like his brain. You're still growing, your thought process and decision making. And then, you know, I just feel like I'm very worried about the background that they pulled up about those Wadsworth brothers. It's just, I can't even believe that one Scott guy is still outside walking.
Yeah. And like he's out there with nobody. I know he has that friend JD. But yeah, I mean, to me, it makes sense. Like you're out there, you're eating this at this restaurant. She said he would do the karaoke thing on Saturday. Like So it makes sense that you would start talking to these people and then you would connect with them. Like, yes, he loved to farm, but when the sun goes down or, you're done for the day, nobody is, I just feel like he socialized with the wrong people, and that's not
exactly. And I don't want to throw shade, but I feel like it was just kind of chalked up to be like, well, that's how they are out there, and he's got a gun, he knows what he's got to do. It's like, but he's a
right.
But, everyone's different and everyone parents differently. That's all I have to say. And I'm not judging or anything like that. I just think this is a situation where it's like, well, you just have to be careful if it's known that people out there have bunkers and they're anti-government and this and that. Not, I'm not judging them as like a whole lump, but these bunkers and stuff that are out there in this like Armageddon type mentality, and the stolen vehicles that the parents saw when they were searching and brought to the sheriff's attention, and the sheriff kind of like, well, yeah, we've had problems with these people. It's like something out there is like spiraled out of control.
Right.
And now this week, a month later, FBI is now involved officially. So hopefully, although I just feel like, why has there been like press conferences on this or anything? Like, I have a quote right here. The mother.
I know there was like I was going to say, I know there was like a press typed up release, but I haven't heard a verbal press conference.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. I agree, Mia Moore. All older than him could take advantage of a boy like him. Exactly. And how fun. I mean, when you're a teenager, the whole Wild Wild West thing, it sounds appealing, when you're a teenager and you're like, oh, we can be in this group that makes sure people don't steal. Like, I'd love to be a part of that. You feel like you're a part of something good because you're making sure the people who are stealing out there from each other, like, they are just running on their own law. You know what I mean? So at the same time, though, it's like that still left him open to be rubbing shoulders with people who are just less than desirable. You know what I mean? Like, he obviously had good intentions and a good heart, but it's just I think he just screams, take advantage of me. If it's true that he's. Sorry, guys. I lost internet. Is everyone still here?
It happens.
It
Yeah, I'm
happened.
sure.
All right,
Yes.
hold on. Let
It's
me.
like a rite of passage.
You have to get frozen with your face on there. Usually when I'm frozen, I've
Yeah.
been able to have my camera off, but now I'm like everyone else and had like a.
DylanRounds was last seen at the Saddle Sword Bar.
I'm sure it was a beautiful frozen face.
All right. Oh boy. Okay, good. Everyone's here still.
Oh.
But I'm not. Okay, sorry guys. I don't know what happened. Lost service. Internet, whatever you want to call it. All right. Anyways, we need pretty much a real press conference with FBI involved. Like it's time to kind of get some sort of statement. Hopefully they come back with something productive from the search to this weekend with the drones. Let me see.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost a month into it now. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, just to take it back to some of the first things going on is, when Chase finds out that he's missing and all this stuff is going on, like, did you think that it was weird that he was insistent on reaching out to law enforcement and Candace herself?
Yeah. A little bit, yeah.
Because she was saying how like persistent and pushy he was about like being adamant about it.
And it's like, I guess I could see that both ways. I mean, he could just know, oh crap, I'm a criminal. The locals know I'm a criminal. I have a long record. He gave me a ride. I really want to clear myself. Like, I don't need this on top of all the other stuff I have. But yeah, I think it's interesting. And I wonder, how he knew Candace's number. I wonder if one of the farm hands told him or, how that really connected.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just seen so many theories about Chase.
That he was one of the robbers and people were upset that Dylan helped him out type of speculation I've heard.
Yeah,
I think
I've heard that.
It's just like we need like real statements, I guess, but it is good theories. Like, and the other theory, it just goes along the lines of like matching the PI's theories to actual evidence and him speaking about, those type of individuals out there and the type of people that Dylan was surrounded by. And then come to find out, even the mother has gone out on media sources and YouTube saying, that there's meth heads out there. Every piece of issues, this is a direct quote, every piece of issues in that county is shrugged off. They have their own code of ethics out there. So that all those statements from the mother match what the PI is saying, and then go even further. And if you just look at the crime rate, like just from databases that you and I have looked at, that it's just evident that even though it is a small population, so it might appear that the high crime is just, well, there's not a lot of people there, so that might make sense. They've compared it to like counties and populations, and it still surpasses the normal, I guess, quote unquote, level of crime. So that pretty much kind of backs up what the PI is saying, and the fact that the pistol's missing. Although the bank money, the 30 to 35 grand, I've heard different numbers for it. Although the mother's stating that it hasn't been touched at all, and he wasn't robbed, like there was no equipment or whatever taken from the farm. The fact that it's possible with so remote of an area, he really could have had like cash on him, you know what I mean? And typically, I mean, I know that a lot of people use credit cards, but
the PI claim, again, this is from the PI, he's not proven this, but he claims that Dylan did have cash and that people don't go to the banks out there, and that Dylan had, I think, like 80, I can't remember, I'm not going to say an amount, 50 to 80 but that
Yeah, I
Dylan
think
did have
somebody
cash on
in
him
chat said 80. So
from the
that
grandpa.
makes sense to me. Especially
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
Dylan is this profile of, he's sort of his own, he's not like the other kids, you know what I mean? Which is great, So that to me means, well, then he's not going to use
Yeah.
credit cards like other kids, and he's not going to use his debit card, he's going to be like those guys out there or whatever is convenient for him. And, a lot of people like having cash on hand. So if he was kind of set apart
Right.
in all these other ways, which is good for, great for him, it makes me wonder if, well, did he also carry cash on him, which is unlike what a lot of people do. So it kind of fits like the fact that
Yeah.
he, was different. So it's they don't really need to
Yeah.
rob stuff from his farm if they've got cash, and a handgun. They've kind of got what they wanted, they
Exactly.
got what they needed. Um, yeah, the Bonita Barbie said they befriended him
Yeah.
for the long play, the long, slow hustle. Right. I mean, and that's, who knows what else was going on. And it's like whatever was consensual, then that if it was, this is obviously speculation. And I think that it's valid that you kind of have to go down every avenue. Like if you're hearing that he's spent a lot of time in Montello the name of the bar is sort of questionable, it's kind of like, okay, whatever. But
Yeah.
it's kind of fair to be like, could there have been, because if there's a relationship involved, then that adds a whole nother level of, like, well, then did something happen and there was jealousy or, you know what I mean? Like there's just all these, just like it would be if it was
Exactly.
a man and a woman or whatever, you know what I mean? Like you would obviously look to the people that he was with last or the people that he was closest to. And that these characters, apparently, even the family has name dropped them a lot as being people that he associated with and was close to. So it is what it is. And all angles need to be looked at. However, we need like proof and all this stuff, but it's fair to
Right.
question, but everything's on the table, every scenario is on the table. Even the fact that the mother is stating that the seat in the truck was moved up and it was a short person, then people started wondering, well, were there girls around or, this and that? Everything's on the table. If you want to speculate about these little
Yeah.
details, we don't know, like maybe there was, or maybe it just was something that the mother also just perceived as the seat was moved up. What if it was just her perception and it really wasn't? You know what I mean? Like we don't really know because we haven't had a law enforcement agent come out and say some things were awry in the truck and we noticed that the seat was moved up. Like we haven't had that. So it's kind of left this door open to speculate and wonder.
Agree. But see, Mom also said, I think it was an interview with Sleuth Mom, that there is somebody out there who is around Dylan who is that size, who's short. So it's like, we haven't heard much more of that. But she definitely said, I think she's done 2 or 3 interviews with Sleuth Mom, that they do know of a person who's short like that. So it's like, who's that person? There's just so many little things being thrown out.
And everything should be followed up on, obviously. And everything that we hear as web sleuths or YouTubers, whatever you want to call it, we all want to know and we probably won't drop it. Mia More said,
exactly.
I think he looked up to these guys for protecting their land and just being tough guys with gun, policing their area. Something to make him feel apart in a lonely place. He is still young and impressionable. I 100% agree. Like as soon as I heard his age and that he was out there alone, and that's a lot of responsibility, and it teaches him obviously hard work. And I'm sure it's all that fruits of your labor, and then you get the product of it. It's rewarding, But at the same sense, we have to remember that the people that he's surrounded by. I mean, the mother even said one criminal record was worse than the other. Yeah, she
Yeah.
said I wrote criminal records of associates is a yes, and the mother said, but it was petty crime, not violent. One was worse than the other. And then in that same interview, it comes to find out that Chase, or no, who was the one that got in the physical fight with the neighbor? Jim. Okay, yeah.
That
Then
was
it comes
Jim,
out
yeah.
that okay, yes, Jim had a record, a misdemeanor, and that was the violent one. And it's like, but that's why I feel like people are wondering, like, okay, you know, rose-colored glasses, blah, 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 because she kind of contradicted
Yeah.
herself, you know? And it's like, I understand you don't want to admit that, like, he was out there with all these people, but facts are facts. And even if you got in one fight with your neighbor, it was a physical attack. And that's
Yeah.
alarming, you know, and that obviously Jim, and the fact that he fired Don, you know, like, I'm sorry, but Jim and Don,
Yeah.
they're also on the table. You know, like
Right.
somebody losing their job
And
in
yeah,
economy, like right now, you know, with gas the way it is,
yeah.
etc. Like, I don't need to spell it out. So Don loses his job from some kid who's fired him, and they had some argument about workload, essentially. Like, Don thought that Dylan should be working on something else, but it's
Yeah.
just, you know, questionable. And then Don, unfortunately, is one of the first to be on the farm because the grandmother sent him over there. It's just like, already it's like, great.
Yeah, and
So
then Jim joined
yeah.
him.
Yeah, then they go back again with Jim. So it's
So
almost like a situation where it's
yeah.
like the crimes that some people who could possibly be suspects in this have already been at, potentially could be the crime scene. They say nothing was awry at the farm except the fact that his boots were there with blood on it. But I don't know. Like, I really want to know more about, like, the pressure washing of the truck. Obviously is interesting. Why they would forget the front wheel wells, I don't know.
And then I saw a comment like, mom said it was weird that the truck was locked, the gate, and that the camper were all locked. That was not like Dylan. But I just was reading their comments, and someone said, well, what if Dylan was having problems and didn't tell mom and dad, and he started to lock his stuff up? Like, I mean, you just don't know. Like, she says, no, it wasn't normal. But, like, again, I don't believe Dylan was telling his parents everything. He didn't tell them about giving Chase the ride. So I just saw a comment was like, well, what if Dylan was locking it for whatever reason?
Yeah, maybe Dylan started realizing he was in over his head with some situation. Obviously, this is speculation, but highly possible. So what the mother says is he usually doesn't lock it up, this and that. Well, like you said, he's not telling his mom every little detail. She had no idea even that he could maybe, and this hasn't been proven, that he's part of this vigilante group, but hearsay that, so let's say, you know, all this is just very hard for her to hear, I'm sure, and the whole family, like, not just the mother. You know, the father's very close to him. It's evident that he's distraught. He has two sisters as well. We haven't heard or seen them, and that's, you know, they're being protected, I'm sure, and comforted. It's their older brother, but it's just he could have, I for sure agree with that. He could have been changing his normal routine because things changed for him out there. As far as security and all that. And why, let's see. Oh, I wrote, there was no reason for him to power wash his own truck, not only because the mother states that it was just a farm tool to him, but also if he had known, you know, on the phone with his grandmother that it was going to rain, he would have had no reason to power wash it himself, you know? So obviously everyone knows that that's sort of like suspicious that it was power washed, but it's just kind of another confirmation that, like, yeah, why would he obviously somebody else did that.
Yeah.
Um,
But I do, just real quick, so about the truck seat, like I've seen it in chat, I've seen it in comments. Yeah, I'm with you guys. Like the truck seat could go either way. Like it could have been Dylan moved the truck seat up because he was looking for something behind it. Okay. It could have been someone moved the truck seat up to throw off that a tall person was in there, or it could be that a small person was in the truck and forgot to move it back. I feel like there's 3 scenarios with that. But mom did say on Sleuth Mom, my notes say, a person that we've held back is about my size. Mom is 4'11" and maybe an inch taller, the same build as me. And then she was asked, well, does this person that you've held back, this small person, know Dawn and Jim? And she said, absolutely. So when you think of the truck seat and then think of mom saying that, there is some other person out there that mom claims is about her size. So I don't know, just something to factor in with the whole truck seat being moved up. And I just hate that truck wasn't, and it's not the family's fault. Like she said, we've never dealt with this. They thought Dylan was going to be like in a farm accident and need a trip to the hospital and be fine. That's what they thought. And they're in shock and they're there. And police are there. They're following their lead. So I don't blame them for getting into the truck, but it's just so frustrating that police allowed that to happen and that the truck wasn't immediately taped off and like nobody touch it. We're going to process it. Same thing with the camper trailer. Yeah. Or to put something back. Exactly, Daylana.
Yeah. Mar R said,
yeah,
could it be
Mar R.
Kurt's wife or daughter? I mean, that all is on the table as well, because I don't care what you say. If, pretty much I think the wife always knows what's going on in these situations. Like if their husband or significant other is tied to criminal behavior, I believe in most cases the husband or boyfriend, whatever, is telling the girlfriend exactly what's going on. And so I think it's possible that there could have been accomplices in whatever took place. Obviously, speculation.
According to the PI, okay, this is according to the PI, there is also a Wadsworth sister. So Kurt and Troy have a sister. So it's like, did she know Dylan? Was she around the bar often?
Right. How tall is she?
Yeah.
I mean, everything.
And did
not
you
only that
hear? Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say it could be anybody out there associated.
Yes. But I was going to ask, did you hear on that recent news article with both the parents that Justin, Dylan's father, said he had some type of exchange over texts about Kurt? Did you catch that? And then Dylan, like, got on to him or didn't like it or something. Like, I don't know if Justin was saying that he had a problem with Kurt.
Yeah, a year ago or something like that. Like months ago, a while ago, he went back in his phone and he had noticed that, there was some sort of situation, drama, and dad got involved, right? And from my understanding was it that Dylan thought the dad was too harsh on him? I can maybe try to find that, but geez, I don't know the minute mark of that.
But that just stuck out to me.
Yeah,
that dad
was
mentioned
interesting.
That.
Yeah, well, anyone can find
saying
that.
Dylan had defended it.
It was saying that Dylan defended Kurt.
Yeah, because he said something along the lines of like Dylan wasn't very happy about it.
Okay, yeah. I think I understood it the same way, that like the dad might have been too harsh or something on, I don't know. That was weird.
But then it's like, you wonder what what the root of that was. Like what elaborate,
Yeah, I wish they dug more into that. And the fact that, this is why I feel like it is somebody like in his inner circle or somebody close associated to him, because another reason is because the mother claims that she's 2 hours or close to 2 hours away. The dad is in Vegas at the time. Is that what I understood too in that interview? Did chat catch that? The East Idaho interview.
Yeah,
something-
the dad was in Vegas with the other daughter.
Okay, yeah.
They were like on their way back, I think, when mom called and asked if they had heard from Dylan.
Okay. And if you're, close with somebody, they might hear that one of your parents or, your family is, out of town in Vegas, not in close reach. The mother, if it's true what they're saying, maybe Dylan wasn't even that close. This is all speculation, and it doesn't matter either way, but because she's 2 hours away. So if they know that the mother's 2 hours away, the father's in Vegas, it just seemed like of all weekends and stuff that, the dad not being around, it just seemed very, I don't know, could have been premeditated, or was this just something that spur of the moment,
Right. And I would also just be interested to know, how often, because, okay, and correct me, anybody, if I'm wrong, but Justin's parents, so dad's parents, who the grandpa of Dylan, dad's father, is the one who went in on the farm. And so it would have been like, dad's mom who was contacting Dylan that Saturday, or whichever way it was. But yeah, I just wonder like how close grandma and grandpa were to Dylan. Did they go out on the farm? Like what their relationship is like with Dawn, what is like with his parents, just more of like what did they witness from Dawn and Jim and Kurt and things they have said. There is stuff that to hold on to, and that's all understandable. But I just, there's some of the questions I have. Amber, you're muted. I see you, but
Oops.
There you go. See, good thing your camera's on.
I know. How long would this have gone for? It's happened
Right?
before. But for some reason, you guys still come back. So thank you. But no.
We love you.
Thanks. Love you guys. I just think, what else did I write? Okay, so the mother says in winter, he spent his time with friends, snowmobiling, and summertime, if he did anything socially, it was in Montello. So,
Yeah.
that just leads him directly to everyone that we're just kind of suspect of. The boots not hitting the lab until a week after they were found. I mean, that's going to take unless the FBI have taken a hold of them or whatever. I mean, who knows how long we'll be waiting to find out whose blood those were.
Right. And they said, yeah, I mean, they don't even know if it was animal or human.
Yeah. And according to the PI, he's like, I don't think that's your son's blood. How would he know? Like,
how would he know? Exactly.
Yeah. It was like such a assertion. Like, I don't know. It was just like, but I don't think that's your son's blood. Okay. Why do you not think that? I don't know. But let's see. Oh,
I tell you.
The father wrote or said something in that interview yesterday that the boots were near a junk hole where they burned trash. So
yes, that's what got me.
So I wonder who has seen him burn trash there before.
Right.
And
what kind of trash was currently in there?
Yeah, exactly. Have they tested that trash? Because,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know if you can test like ash. I really don't think you can, but I mean, have they collected that area? I wonder, And by that point, it's like, it had rained, right? So no footprints would have been around.
See, honestly, I get confused on the whole rain. Like, the mom at one point seemed speculative about Dawn and Jim even going there, because she mentioned that kind of like if they had been there, there were no tracks showing that they were there.
Yeah.
And she
See,
seemed a little unsure.
Yeah,
But
some of
it's
the
like,
things.
that part confuses me.
Right. And then that's a lot of her own perception and her own opinions. And I'm like, I've had to listen to her a few
Right.
times, and I jot down the things that I'm like, okay, so that's a fact for sure. And that's what she's saying
Yeah.
about that. But when it comes to things where she's like, and I put my hand there and I tested the dust on the line, and it's like, I don't know that for sure. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Certain things I'm just kind of
Right.
like,
And yeah, I have no idea what desert, the desert in Utah is like, the mud, the soil, things like that. I don't really understand the whole track footprint thing. Same with like the
yeah.
truck. Like, I know Justin said, didn't he say on the news interview that they're trying to figure out, like, run the tractor or something to see like when it was last turned on or actually used, kind of things like that.
It sounds familiar, yeah. Which that reminds me is so Kurt let him borrow some hoe machine or something? Is that what they were
Yeah,
saying?
backhoe and backhoe. And yeah, mom has said that since Dylan disappeared, first of all, she said Kurt helped on the search, and that she has not spoken to Kurt since the whole fake kidnapping thing, and that Kurt has since taken his backhoe off of Dylan's farm.
And that to
And that's
me
all
is
weird.
really weird.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Agreed.
I'm looking at chat. What did Justin get really quiet about, Mia More? I seen you say Justin gets quiet when they talk about it. Yeah, his tone is atrocious. I agree. But
Yeah.
yeah, that whole like, why was he able to take something? Like, first off, why was he able to take back his equipment? I mean, I guess it's his, so legally he's probably allowed to. But what was the urgency behind it? You know what I mean? Like, suddenly he just needed to get it off the property. I didn't understand why
Right.
Kurt
Like, the backhoe's been sitting there for who knows. I mean, I'm with you. Like, what are the details about the backhoe? Like, was it normal for the backhoe to go back and forth, or was it staying on Dylan's property? If it was on Dylan's property at all times, why, when Dylan disappears, is it now moved off? That would be a big red flag. But again, if it was normal for Kurt to move it back and forth, okay, whatever. But I know Kurt's definitely on my radar for sure.
even if Kurt, because that's the thing is, if he's not directly involved, like in whatever took place, him covering for his siblings if they're involved, you know what I mean? Like that he has incentive to kind of put them on that wild goose chase. Like, why would he come up with that your son's being held hostage thing?
Exactly.
Like, was it a plan that just like
And
went wrong?
Right. And Kurt is also the one, because I remember right after Dylan, like, this kind of broke, that it came out about Chase and all, and then it came out that Chase was in town and asking about Dylan, and Chase got a ride back to Dylan's camp area. Okay. Mom came out and said that that was not true, that none of the locals said Chase was asking about Dylan. Chase didn't get a ride back to the camp, that Kurt made all of that up. So that's, and then there was another one. I feel like there were three things: Kurt, the kidnap story, the Chase thing, those are all things that, oh, and the sighting on the 27th. Those are all things that Kurt is right in the middle of that are all suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
3 situations.
And that's not even involving the fact that his brothers have some of the worst criminal records I've seen.
Yes.
You know, and it's like, what? Holy.
Yes. And there's Dylan, this 19-year-old. He's been there since he was 17 with money, with land, and hanging out at the bar or the restaurant, whatever. We have the PI saying that Kurt dresses up in drag and has been caught doing that. So exactly, Robin. Why is Kurt covering his behind? Yeah. And is he covering his behind and other people's behinds? Or, what is this with Kurt and the rumors? And then Justin says on the news interview that he gets texts. I can't remember, did he say all the time? Or either way, he was like, I get texts multiple of, okay, Dylan's being held hostage or being held captive here. And he's like, I can only do so much. I don't know. There's just so much strangeness to this case.
Yep. And I feel like that the interviews with Justin's dad, it would be interesting just to hear the dad speak. You know what I mean? Like re-listen to it and like just mute it when Candace speaks, just because I feel like his message and whatever he's getting information on is getting lost a little bit. And Candace is like rambling at times, which I don't blame her. I mean, she's frantic trying to find her kid. But I just feel like that there's a lot that the dad could offer as far as insight, and it's getting lost a little bit because he says things so he's a man of few words, you know what I mean? Which is, fine, but I feel like there's good information in the few words that he says. So, I mean, and think about it, the 80K or 50 to 80K that allegedly is out there, that is Dylan's cash, and the handgun, that would be incentive for Kurt to kind of go along with something too. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons why Kurt would be making things up, you know what I mean? And sending them on wild goose chases. He's got,
I completely agree.
Yeah. Patty said, wow, I just listened to the 2 phone calls between the PI, James, and Dylan's family. Oh boy. I think, are those the ones we heard?
Yeah. Yeah, those are the ones that Sleuth Mom put up, and then the PI was all upset that she put those up, which I don't really understand why he was so upset about that, but he was. So
more than upset. I won't even repeat the things.
Yeah, he yeah, we won't go into that, but yeah,
I knew exactly where you were going because I was just about to go there, and I'm like, oh wait, no, I probably shouldn't say that. But yeah, this guy is
better not.
He's really making him a name for himself, that's for sure. Jeez.
And see, again, I just feel like, I don't know, I do feel like I believe some of what he is saying. Now, he has not yet shown proof of these tips about the vigilante group or about these 3 kidnapping victims. It's all coming from the PI. But if it ever comes out that that's true, it is not going to surprise me. Yeah, Daylana, exactly. But he said it was what he did, it's a one-party state. But really, I mean, the PI is hard to really handle at times, but I am listening for sure.
Yeah, I didn't understand, Delana. Like, we're asking him to bring forth receipts and proof, and he brings forth somebody who worked with Justin, like, who he didn't even care if she lost her job or not. None of the information that she brought forth.
Yeah, he was like, she might be working it. Yeah. He was like, yeah, she might be working at Arby's next week. Like he didn't, and all the information, I feel like you were just about to say this, about the family dynamic and the family history and the family drama. And it's like, I don't care if Candace, dropped her children off. I don't care if Candace has liens. The bottom line is, in this case, and you can compare this to other cases, I do not think Candace has anything to do directly with Dylan's disappearance. So therefore, let's forget about her and, focus on finding Dylan, not her personal life.
And I see his argument. Well, she's got all these liens. How do we know that they're not coming after her? I thought they were to the bank, for one.
Right.
So last I knew, banks usually don't come after you with like a gang. Also, listen, I understand everything's on the table, but probability level, like you're saying, like I just don't think, just like in the Watts case, people try to pull up the family drama and say this is suspicious, that they weren't even close, this and that. It's just like, if something happened to me, people would probably do the same thing. Like, oh, she's not that close with her mom. You know what I mean? It's just like, that has nothing to do with what we're trying to accomplish, though. So that was just, I didn't understand, like, of all the things we're asking for proof on, why did you bring us that phone call? The family drama. I don't care about that. Show me the proof of the nurse claiming that she took care of these victims, that at first I heard it came out that it was linked to Troy. And then second, I hear it comes out that it was actually, it could have been the brother Scott. So which is it? The other thing I noticed too is some of the web sleuths out there are coming out with better digging and receipts than this PI has. No, I mean, it is what it is. Sorry. They're pulling up Troy's mugshot. They're pulling up Scott's entire criminal history. They're showing us who these people were that were very close to Dylan and what their backgrounds were. And then also we get the information from the mom of this and that. And yes, they were criminals, but one's record is worse than the other. So it's just all, I want to keep it on what is important. I don't care about the other details that is just drama. And I know that our chat is agreeing because they see through the BS too, just like we do. So it's all good, but it's just unfortunate that like there is like that drama aspect. It's like this family is just trying to find their son, and it's just like unnecessary, some of it. And everyone's like, well, if he finds the kid, then let him do it how he wants. But like at the same time, he's been fired. So I don't understand what he's getting behind. Like, what does he get by getting that woman fired? Now he's on some, I just feel like now he's on a very much like defensive like streak. Like, I'm just out here to get my reputation back because it was tainted by whatever Candace said. It's like, sorry, buddy. You know what I mean? Or you muted. Oh, Kelly said, I'll be right back. Okay, no problem. Let me just read through my written notes. So starting from the beginning. So he's missing his cell phone, the key fob for his truck, and his wallet and his pistol, which is a .60 caliber. The truck was locked. The gate to the farm was locked. Mike is a stepfather, and obviously Candace is a mother. I'm like not being able to read my notes. So yeah, nothing obvious stood out, nothing out of the ordinary. What are you guys thinking in chat? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, people talk more about the parents. Exactly. And we need to be talking more about like, why did Kurt make up this story about the freaking hostage thing? It's like, that's what I'm concerned with. He talked to the grandmother at 6:51, said he had to get going because the seeds planted, it was going to rain. Jim has a camp near the trailer there on the property, so it wasn't unusual that he was there when they arrived, because when the family got there, apparently Jim was already there. So yeah, Dylan owns his property with his grandfather. Dylan and grandfather own 640 acres. Another thing that I feel like was unfortunate too, like in the grand scheme of things. Oh, it was 40 caliber gun or not 60? Okay. Yeah, that sounds right. Is the mother said that the truck was 2015. I mean, that's still fairly new. And he treats it like a tool, like a piece of equipment, which I understand. But think about the type of people who are out there. You know, they don't have the means and money that it seems Dylan has been blessed to come from. They're seeing this kid beat up this 2015 truck as whatever. And I feel like it's just another example of how he could have made himself a target in a way in this type of community, because you know, if they see him like with this new truck and he's just beating it up and he doesn't care about it, they're kind of thinking like, oh, this guy he's got money, like he's got this farm, he thinks he's this and that. And in a small community, him going to Montello every time to socialize and all that, like he could have been like a cool cat, if you will. You know what I mean? He had a lot to offer. But also a lot for somebody who's looking to prey on somebody. There was a lot for the predator to gain from him, in my opinion. Let me see.
I'm back. And yeah, I agree with where you were going with that.
You know what I mean? Like, I understand that the pickup truck was treated that way, and I get it, but other people could perceive it as
Right.
like this kid's been handed everything, and I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like, who knows what type of.
And even Candace said about Don, like, you know, he's now taking orders from this 19-year-old. Like, how did that feel to them?
Yeah.
People are asking who Kurt is. Should we explain? So,
yes, please.
Okay, so basically, Kurt is a local in Montello, and I've heard, okay, his mom, and I saw someone in chat say something different, but I've heard that he owns a saddle sore bar, that his family owns a saddle sore bar. But either way, the saddle sore bar is where Dylan would go to eat and hang out. That was the last place Dylan used his card. Kurt is connected to that. Kurt also owns property where Dylan would sleep at night in a trailer. Kurt helped out on the farm some. He wasn't employed by Dylan per se, but he did help out on the farm a little bit. And Kurt's backhoe was on the farm that before Dylan disappeared. After Dylan disappeared, Kurt's backhoe moved off the farm. So basically, Kurt is a man, I believe he's in his 60s, who was very close to Dylan. He's also the man who had called Candace on May 31st, the day after police got involved, and said, hey, Dylan is being held hostage or being held captive somewhere in Montello. He gave them a home where he claimed Dylan was being held. They go there. The people allow them to search their property, their home, whatever. There's no Dylan. So yeah, Kurt is just somebody who knows Dylan well, an older man. There's a lot of rumors going around about Kurt. I won't go into all those, but he was close with Dylan.
Yeah, and wasn't one of the rumors coming directly from, was it Chase's son? No. Kurt's son? Oh, crap.
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I don't know. But like you said, there's just a lot of hearsay and rumors.
Yeah.
And it's obviously just red flag. His
Yeah.
both his brothers' criminal records. But as far as like these ladies were held in a shed by this guy and this and that, like we just don't have proof of it. Like I understand it's very highly possible, but it's just like how convenient that like none of those victims too like wanted to press charges. So there's not even a record, like a paper trail that we could even see. Like, oh yeah, it says right here. Although didn't Troy have something in the paper about he was arrested for stalking or something?
Yes.
But that doesn't
Yeah.
mean he held people captive in a shed.
Right.
Or his brother Scott. But, you know, I'm not saying it's not true, but yeah, we can't confirm it pretty much.
Yeah, for right now, there's no solid proof of it.
But it could be true. It's plausible if you look at this the brother's criminal record.
Justin says he confirms that he saw scratch marks on Troy's arm. Troy is Kurt's brother. He has this criminal history. Justin says, yes, I saw scratch marks on Troy's arms. And I did not take a photo of them because I was recording the conversation. But then Candace said on Zav Girl that the scratch marks had been looked into, and she said, you know, if they were human scratch marks, something would have been done. So she seemed pretty dismissive and not worried about the scratch marks, at least publicly. Who knows what's really going on behind the scenes, but she seemed like she wasn't worried about that.
Yeah, that's unusual to me, but hopefully.
Agreed.
And at this point, if they swab it, I mean, it's been washed. It's probably healed by now. It's a month later.
Exactly.
But why not? That's the thing. It's like, why didn't you get a picture? But hindsight, 2020, you know?
Right.
But Max 2002 asked if the PI is legit. Apparently he is. And people have said he has a high success rate or something. And he goes on and on about how amazing he is. So maybe it's true. But yeah, he apparently is legit. He has done some missing persons cases more than once. But I don't know. Something did not click with this family, but he's super brash.
But see, he also says though that like Candace is kind of like out, but the other family has told him, hey, keep working it. Because Candace allegedly wasn't even the person who hired him. And I don't know, like maybe he just clashes with Candace because he claims that the others want him to keep going.
And he said that he's like, if I want to, I can still do it. They still have like the reward out there or whatever.
Yeah, $20,000 reward. He's like, anybody can work the case, you know?
Yeah, and he was saying something along the lines of wanting them to end the reward soon to see if somebody would speak up, you know what I mean? But I thought that was interesting because I don't know, I just never thought about like putting a time limit on reward, but I guess if you want information quick, then they'll do it.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too, how he said, yeah, put a time limit on it.
Yeah, because like in the Summer Wells one, everyone wanted the reward to stay on longer.
Yeah.
It's just interesting both ways. It doesn't seem to bring forth anybody who wants to speak up. However, that one incident, the Casey White case, the guy, I don't even know if he ever even got that money. Does anyone know or anyone on replay know if the guy in the Casey White case got the reward money?
Was he like the car wash manager?
Yeah.
You saw the video. Yeah, I don't know.
Weird.
Has Casey White ever talked? Like, has he... Not trying to change the subject. But
no, yeah, no, you're fine. From what I had seen, because it was going on in the Johnny Depp trial and I was just lost. From what I had seen, Casey's mother spoke out and said that they had a real connection, that it was real between them. And then I think I heard that it came out that, shoot, I don't want to misquote it, but I think it was along the lines of like, I don't know. I don't remember. I just know that Casey's mother came out saying that it was a real love connection.
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, it's just interesting. I never thought to put a time limit on a reward, but in a
Right.
way, I guess I can see why it would make sense.
Agree. But I mean, again, I would it's tricky with this PI because we have kind of like Candace now versus the PI. But the PI is claiming that Dylan had all this cash. Okay. I have not heard, and I could have missed it, Candace comment on this cash. So it would be interesting. Like, is there cash missing from Dylan? Because if so,
Right.
the 20K might not matter to these people. They're like, oh, we have
Right.
80K. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
so
And that is valid. That's valid to wonder because that's clear motive. Cash is a
right.
clear motive. Like right now we're going off of they wanted a handgun. Why would they kill him for that? You know what I mean?
Right.
But if there's cash and was Candace aware of it? I don't know. I question just because it just seemed like everything was being handled financially for this kid by either himself, his father, or his grandfather. Like it just didn't seem like in any of all that Candace was involved with like financial stuff.
Agree. Yeah.
Um,
Agree.
So
Okay,
right now, what?
She just said that he said another part of the family has hired him now. Interesting.
Oh, interesting. When did he say that? That's crazy. Interesting though. So I just wrote down Candace had said that at this point the truck has been given to a law enforcement agency that the family trusts, but they haven't received any updates on it. And this was, I think, a few days ago.
Yeah, I think like Idaho. I think Idaho has the truck.
Okay. And did you hear this part? I wrote it down, but I can't remember where it came from, or does chat remember? Maybe it was in the dad's interview, or no, I don't know. I heard, or there was somebody said that there was slip marks, like when they drained the pond.
Yes.
You did hear that.
Because she said, yes, there were marks, and they initially thought, like, yeah, maybe he went into the pond, but they drained it and there was nothing. So, yeah. Do we know where the pond is in relation to, like, the green truck and the camper and all that? Sorry,
did you see the interview that the dad did with the media when it kind of first began?
Honestly, no, I have not seen that one. I've seen like a little tiny clip.
Okay, I can send it to you.
Yes.
But I want to say in that clip, he's like there on premise, and I think he I want to say maybe it does show where the pond was in relation. If it does, or if there was ever anything that showed it, I think it might have been in that clip.
Okay.
But I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Let me see. Make sure I didn't miss. Oh yeah, I wrote down 40 caliber. When you were gone, I was like 60 caliber. Is there even a 60 caliber gun? Is that such a thing?
I don't know.
Yeah, me either. So I don't know. Mother says lots of squatters and drifters out there.
But then okay. What about the local who went on Monkey Mar last night? She says there were no squatters and drifters. Yeah. But there's another. I think it was Heavy D Sparks. He also said there were squatters because she said if you're a squatter out here, you'll die basically unless you have water. So again, I just feel like we're hearing all these different things from different people.
And didn't at the same point or at the same time that same local son speak and say that people approached him?
Yes, he said that he was at their generator shed.
Yes, yeah.
Something like that. Heard people went out and they told him they didn't think he was supposed to be on that property. And he's like, it's our property. And that they
Scary.
looked like young, like teenagers, late or very, very early 20s, late teens. And then he
Yeah.
believes they were on ATVs.
Yeah, they're just, I think,
It's really
there's,
crazy.
yeah, there's stuff going on out there for sure. I think that even though it's all been hearsay so far, I think it's almost safe to say that, judging by the crime rates and the data and all that, that it's definitely a high possibility.
Yeah, and see, another thing that local lady said is that she did not think there was the vigilante type group. But in my opinion, if there was the vigilante thing, it would make more sense. It was going on closer to Montello because that's where Kurt was, that's where Dylan was staying at night. So, yeah, I mean, maybe it wasn't happening in Loose End.
Yeah, because they confirmed that lady speaking was what, like 30 minutes away from where they're kind of looking at.
Yeah.
Like
And
she was a local, but at the same time, not directly like right there. I mean, 30 minutes.
right.
If these people are patrolling a certain area, like she might just be out of the range where, like, I don't know.
Exactly. And she said she had no trespassing signs. So, maybe they didn't. I think it wouldn't be, unbelievable that it did happen and yet she didn't know about it. Like, that's just her perception. I'm still very open to the idea that they were doing that.
Yeah, I am too. It's definitely a high possibility. I mean, the mother, I think I have here, says that there's like extremists and survivalists, end of the world preppers, bunkers all over, mines, caves, wells. I wrote down, let's see. I don't know. It's just everything seems to be aligning with a bad group. Few groups out there doing illegal activity. One maybe.
Right. And I agree, Robin. Living off the grid, just want to be alone and not involved with the locals. Yeah. Is Amber still here? I feel like she's frozen. We'll wait for Amber to come back, but I don't know. Yeah, this case.
Sorry, guys. Can you hear me? I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on. Wi-Fi is just hating me tonight. Can you guys hear me?
We do hear you.
I don't know, like, what the deal is. I guess I'm just not meant to be on camera.
No.
This never happens when I go off camera.
Yeah, that's why, like, I feel like it lags when I'm on camera with you. I feel like
Yeah.
StreamYard can't
It
handle it.
does.
Yes, it really does.
Screw it.
Yes.
Okay. Anyways, I pretty much was saying I just want to run through these notes quick because and talk with chat about things I'm to wrap up because I mean obviously everyone agrees this case is just a head scratcher and it's just not what we expect to come across like on a daily basis. It's just one of those cases like the Summer Wells case and just other cases where it's like, oh crap, it seemed like right off the bat, the crime scene was treated not as a crime scene. And when the boots were found, that right then and there, it should have all been taped off and just treated, it, you know, very delicately and precisely and carefully. And already we've just already had like the ball started rolling on the wrong foot.
Agree.
Let's see. Some of the associates also might have their criminal record might have prevented them from being able to purchase a handgun, you know. So even if this cash out there wasn't there at all, which I think it's possible there was cash out there, it would be incentive and motive for somebody with a criminal background who wants a handgun to take it upon themselves, like, oh, this kid, you know, he's just a open target, unfortunately, like a sitting duck surrounded by a bunch of hunters. You know what I mean? Sadly, it just seems like that's pretty much
and
the gist of it.
criminals. Like they have, some of them have criminal records.
Yeah. Yeah. Very close associations with this impressionable young kid. I think I got everything out of my notes. Anything you wanted to add or your chat wants to add?
I can't really think of anything. I'm just very anxious to see what else will come out. And I really hope that this is not a case that is going to have, you know, law enforcement corruption as a factor. I do think it's kind of concerning to hear Candace say on Duty Ron that the wife of the sheriff reached out to her on Facebook, and the wife of the sheriff was kind of inserting herself. Even Duty Ron and Ed Wallace's, I mean, their faces were just like, wow. Like they seemed to really be in disbelief and processing what she was saying. So yeah, I just really
I wrote that down too.
Be a great outcome. And
the sheriff's wife overly involved and reaching out to her on Facebook. Very weird. The sheriff wife knowing about the blood on the boots before the parents did. Ed Wallace and Duty Ron advised the parents to get a lawyer. It's like, I hate to have to put that on the table, but I think we have to put corrupt police work possibly, or botched police work. But the FBI being involved now seemed to give the family some hope in that interview that I noticed. Is they seem to feel a little bit more at ease. Agreed. Because it just seemed like they were getting nowhere with this local police department. Although I remember Candace saying one of them she was fine with, like they've been much better than the whatever, the one that starts with a B, I forget the name.
Box Elder.
Yeah, Box Elder. Yes. But that's pretty much it. And thank you again for being here. I always appreciate you. And thank you for carrying the show on while my internet dropped out.
You've done that for me. I feel like you do better, but I tried.
I'm going to watch it on replay and give you a grade.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
You're like, never coming on again.
Honestly, I forgot that like you were carrying it because I forget how it works because I'm always on the other end.
I know,
so I was like relieved the second time it happened tonight. I was like, well, at least they got Kelly.
But then the second time it booted me out. It was weird.
Yeah, we don't have to go on camera. This is just BS.
Yeah.
I want to be in bed with my messy bun and my double chin showing, talking to you guys.
Right.
But all right. Well, thank you so much again.
Yeah.
And we will be obviously keeping you guys all in the loop on both our channels with this case and many other cases to come. So look forward to seeing both channels coming out with updates, and everything that we can bring to you guys, we will as soon as possible.
Yeah, and thanks for having me, and just thanks to everybody in chat. And I always say, let's hope like the next update will be, hey, Dylan was found alive and well, or alive.
Yeah.
But needs some care, but he's okay. I just think people need to be found however they're found. It's just so
Right.
crazy.
And let's use our energy as a community to send out good vibes to the family, instead of using the community to hunt down whoever a YouTuber is because there's a
Right,
reward being
agree.
offered.
And find
So,
out what the mom's leans are. Like, that does not
yeah,
matter here.
exactly.
Yeah.
And thank you. That came full circle with what I want our message to be. And thank you so much. Everyone, actually, let's just, I guess you could do prayer hands or whatever you want to do for hope for Dylan, wherever he is, that he
Yes.
comes home. So thank you again, and I'll see you guys all soon.
Yeah. Good night and bye, everybody.
Bye.